Everywhere you look, politicians are tripping over themselves to say the exact same thing. On every news channel, every town hall, the message is identical. We have to build our way out of the housing crisis. It is the simple, obvious fix for prices that have shot through the stratosphere, ripping the dreams of home ownership away from the entire generation. But what if it's not that simple? What if they're selling you on a solution that doesn't even touch the real problem? What if building more homes right now is like using a bucket to bail out a ship that has been torpedoed below the waterline? What if this whole story about a simple supply shortage is a dangerous oversimplification, a convenient narrative that distracts from the bottleneck that no politician wants to talk about? The truth is, the housing crisis isn't just about shortage of lumber and nails. It's the crisis of credit. And in this video, we are going to expose how this financial crisis is paralyzing the housing market in a way that no amount of 2x4s can fix. Let's quickly break down the official story. The argument goes like this. We have a chronic shortage of homes. Basic economics is demand outpaces supply, prices go up. So if we just build enough new homes, prices will naturally fall. It sounds perfectly logical, and to be clear, they're not entirely wrong, but it's also not the whole story. Because in many places, local zoning rules are a complete disaster. For a century, American cities have used zoning to enforce segregation, not just by race, but by income. By making it illegal to build affordable housing in wealthy areas, rules like minimum lot sizes or bans on duplexes are a real problem that limits what we can build. It's a system designed for a bygone era, and it's at the root of many long-term challenges. But is the lack of new construction the main reason for the affordability crisis we're just all seeing everywhere? Data tells a much more complicated story. For instance, multifamily construction was booming in recent years. Heading into 2024, the number of apartments under construction was hovering at around 1 million units, a level we haven't seen since 1970s. Yet, did you see the prices collapse? Absolutely not. And in many markets, US house prices continued to climb between 2024 and 2025, even though the number of actual home sales was falling. Think about that. We see a market where more inventory is coming online, but sales are dropping. If a simple lack of supply was the only problem, a surge in new buildings would lead directly to lower prices. But that's not what's happening. Completions are happening, but they aren't moving the needle on affordability for the average person. That points to something much deeper. The problem isn't just the number of houses available, it's the number of people who can actually get the money to buy them. So what's really going on? The real bottleneck, the crisis that's being completely ignored, isn't about physical supply at all. It's about financial supply. We're in a financial crisis, and it's being fought on two fronts. One for the developers who are trying to build, and one for you, the person who is trying to buy. So let's start with the developers. To get any project off the ground, developers rely on a chain of short-term variable rate loans for the land, for construction, and so on and so forth. Those aren't your regular 30-year mortgages. And when Federal Reserve jacked up interest rates at the fastest pace in decades, the cost of these loans exploded. So think about it this way. A developer's project that looked profitable suddenly becomes a complete money pit. And the numbers no longer pencil out. So this is the credit crunch in action. It's not that the developer can't get a zoning permit, it's that they can't get a loan that makes any financial sense. Banks, especially smaller regional banks, that are the lifeblood of construction lending, get spooked. They tighten the standards, they demand more cash, and pull back on lending for the commercial real estate, which, by the way, includes all the apartment buildings we desperately need. This has led to a sharp downturn of new multifamily construction starts, which fell by about 25% in 2024 alone, because of all these steep financial hurdles. Now, for the second front, the buyers, you, even if 1 million new homes magically appear tomorrow, it wouldn't really matter if no one can get a loan to buy them. The main driver of your mortgage payment isn't the sticker price, it's the interest rate. Higher mortgage rates have absolutely decimated affordability. This is why home sales are down, even as more homes hit the market. Buyers are stuck on the sidelines, not because there are zero homes for sale, but because cost of financing is just crushingly high. So you have this dual crisis. Developers can get affordable loans to start building, and buyers can get affordable mortgages to buy anything. This is the credit crisis, plain and simple. And this didn't just happen overnight. The stage was set by massive economic shifts when the Federal Reserve was leading the role. In its war on inflation, they raised interest rates at a historic pace. All the while, that was meant to cool the economy, and it slammed the brakes on the housing sector completely. This created a double whammy for commercial real estate, including apartment buildings. Developers had taken out cheap loans when money was easy, and now those loans are coming due, and they have to be able to refinance at today's brutally high rates. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars of commercial real estate loans coming due each year. The Mortgage Bankers Association estimates that nearly $1 trillion in such debt is set to mature in 2025, 2026, and 2027. This puts a massive amount of stress on the banking sector, particularly the small and regional banks that hold a dangerously high concentration of these commercial real estate debt. The severe stress seen at the banks like New York Community bankrupt in early 2024 was a flashing red light sign. They didn't fail, but they needed $1 billion rescue to stabilize. And as a result, banks are becoming even more cautious, choking off new lending, which creates a chain reaction. The Fed raises interest rates, pressures the banks, which in turn cuts off the supply of credit on both builders and buyers, grinding the entire housing market to a halt. It's a complex picture, and it's easy to get frustrated when you're just fed a simple headline. If this breakdown is making sense to you and you want to keep digging into the real forces shaping our economy, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell. And let me know in the conversation, have you felt the pinch of this financial crisis, either in trying to buy a property or just maybe watching your rents go up? Now, kind of going back to it, let me be crystal clear that this isn't just the either or. It's not that the zoning doesn't matter and the financing is the only thing that does. They work together in a vicious cycle. Here's the best way to think of it. Zoning affects the ceiling, while financing affects the pace. Zoning laws created a long-term structural ceiling on how much housing can ever be built in the area. They decide what's legally possible. And if a town is zoned only for single-family homes, that's the absolute max you can build, no matter how cheap the money gets. This is why a zoning reform is still a critical long-term goal. But financing determines the pace at which we build towards that ceiling. It controls what is economically feasible right now. So a project can be perfectly legal, fully permitted, with a line of buyers out the door. But if the developer can't get a loan, it is dead. And it's just a blueprint on a desk. We are seeing this in real time, with new apartment building starts failing dramatically, not because of new zoning laws, but because of this high-cost financing environment. This is the deadly interaction. Restrictive zoning creates a structural shortage over decades. Then a financing crisis hits and acts like a turbocharger on this whole problem. It slams the brake on the little construction that is allowed, making the whole underlying shortage feel 10 times worse. You can't solve a short-term credit crisis without long-term supply solution. Reforming zoning is like widening a highway. It's essential for long-term traffic flow. But a credit crisis is a two-car pileup that has all the lanes blocked right now today. So you have to clear the wreckage first. So when a politician stands up and says that the answer to the housing crisis is simply to build, they are at best telling you half-truths. They're pointing at the long-term highway design while completely ignoring the recent pileup that's blocking all the lanes right now. They're selling a simple solution because acknowledging a credit crisis is hard. It involves talking about Federal Reserve policy and banking stability, things that don't fit on a campaign bumper sticker. So the dangerous simplification then is this idea that one will solve the other. Building more homes won't magically make banks start lending again. It won't lower Fed's interest rates, and it most definitely won't make a 7% mortgage affordable for the average family. So to understand the future, you need to watch two things: interest rates and bank lending standards. That will tell you more about our complex housing situation that we're in right now than construction starts. We are facing a deep structural housing shortage that is being made exponentially worse by a severe financial crisis. And until we're honest about both sides of that equation, the dream of an affordable house will remain just that, a dream.